Well, hey guys, how you doing? Simeon here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thanks for joining me this evening. I wanted to do a little mini update since we're at the 60th anniversary of the Kecksburg UFO UAP crash incident that happened on December 9th, 1965. I first heard about this case when I was at the Bob and Ryan Wood UFO crash conference, as it was called, that first started. I believe the first one was in 2002. And that's where I heard Stan Gordon talk about this incident where this acorn-like object came down right near Kecksburg, Pennsylvania, and it was just something that was seen, if I remember correctly, and from my research, streaking across the sky in other parts of the United States, and then it came down in Kecksburg. But it didn't come down with what you would expect, like a huge impact, like some sort of returning satellite or something like that, which would cause a small crater or something like that. It just kind of landed in these. It landed in these woods. There was another object seen above it after it had crashed. We're not sure what that was. It was like a four-sided star-like object. I heard Stan Gordon talk about this way back in 2002, and I had a chance to talk to Stan yesterday about this incident, and Stan told me some things about it that I hadn't either remembered or I hadn't heard before. And if we've had Stan on this channel before, and we've had him on a number of times, especially about UFOs, Bigfoot sighting, cryptids, how come they come at the same time, and so forth. But in my conversation with him yesterday, we talked about some of those cases, but he went on to talk about some of the humanoid sightings around the Kecksburg event. And I just thought I'd share them with you. So one of them was, he said, someone who got, and I'm just paraphrasing from my memory from what Stan said, there was an individual who apparently got to the crash site very early. This event happened in the late afternoon. So this person got there just as the military was arriving on the scene. And what Stan told me, again, I wasn't there. I was only 2 years old at the time. But Stan said that this person saw one of the military officers opening up a hatch at the top of this craft. You've seen these models of the Kecksburg acorn-like craft where it seems seamless, but what this witness described is the hatch opening up and something like an arm and several fingers being seen of something on the inside reaching outwards before he either was told to leave the area or had to leave the area. So that was one sort of aspect of it that I hadn't remembered for. Then Stan told me of another case. This was even more astounding. He talked to a truck driver who drove the crash wreckage to Wright Patterson Air Base in Dayton, Ohio. And this truck driver said that he was told not to look inside the hangar, not to look at what the contents of what he had been carrying in his truck. But he did anyway when no one was looking. And what he told Stan was that he saw the acorn-like craft up on a platform, but to the side, he said he saw a table with a small humanoid body lying there with a cloth over it. So that's sort of a secondary humanoid aspect to this story, which I would just encourage you to research yourself. I'll put some of the links below. One of Stan's local TV stations has done a series of reports about it, which hopefully we'll be able to link below from their TV broadcasts about the 60th anniversary of this event. I think Stan's done a very good job of investigating this case, and he's rebutted all the arguments that I've seen so far, saying that it was either a GE Mark II satellite type device or maybe a re-entering Soviet satellite. What Stan was able to uncover doesn't match the description of either of those objects. Now, talking about Wright Patterson, Stan confirmed to me that the object was taken to Area B in Wright Patterson. And Area B is somewhere I'm familiar with because the first time I stopped by Dayton just on a trip back east, I kind of got lost just following my GPS directions on my phone. It was late at night, and I was curving around on these back roads, and then I kind of missed the exit, which wasn't marked very well. All of a sudden, I'm right outside the base and by these big buildings with these weird, spooky red lights on them. At least in the winter, it looked that way, with the steam coming up. It's quite a scene. And as you'll remember, I filmed a couple videos right outside that fence by Area B. And Area B is interesting because this is what has been talked about where crash recoveries go of recovered UFOs, UAP, unexplained non-terrestrial objects, and so forth. I'm sure a lot of other hardware has gone to Area B too. But it's just interesting that this truck driver mentioned this as the area where he took the wreckage. Because if you'll look, I've been out there and this is what it looks like at night. And I filmed some short videos for you out at that site. And, one more piece of evidence that I have and it's not just reading Don Schmitt's book, it was initially called The Real Area 51, The Secret History of Wright-Patterson Air Base. I think that's the title. And it has a newer name where he talked about so many witnesses seeing the Roswell wreckage, which, I've done some videos about that recently, about having been to New Mexico just a few months ago, how much wreckage went to Wright Patterson and how many witnesses were there to talk about it. And again, witnesses who saw alien bodies there, Black Jack Magruder, the famous war hero from, I believe it was from might have been from World War II, who actually had been either seen alive extraterrestrial or had heard stories about it. He even gave it a name. He called it Squiggly. I mean, this is all in Don Schmitt and Kevin Randall's book. And but there were many reports of this. And I've spoken to people that worked at Wright-Patterson way back in the Project Blue Book days, and they confirmed to me stories like this. They wouldn't get very specific, but they confirmed to me they had seen things. That's where we'll have to leave it. They had seen things that gave me the impression from talking to them that they couldn't really describe without breaking some sort of non-disclosure agreement. So I'm 100% confident that these sorts of artifacts and biological entities, even some perhaps living, ended up at Wright-Patterson. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Kecksburg UFO incident is literally a UFO from somewhere else, that's where it would have been taken. And if there were biological life forms within that small craft, they would have been taken there too. But I encourage you to do your own research and see what you come up with. It's the 60th anniversary, so we'll find out a lot more. There'll be people will be talking about it again. We'll get news reports, and it's right around the release of this movie, Age of Disclosure. So I think it's a good time to start looking into it again, and you can make your own mind up. Feel free to put your comments in the box below. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you again soon. Take care for now, and bye.